Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Today is day number 2 of the 365-day tarot project. So Tarot365, hashtag Tarot365. Today's day number 2. It is not Tuesday. It is Wednesday. Great start to the morning. It is Wednesday, August 21st. I am officially now 31. My birthday was yesterday. Thank you all for being there with me. If you haven't seen yesterday's card, it was the King of Pentacles. And I'm very thankful for drawing that card yesterday for the reminder that abundance comes easily when you master yourself, master your habits, which is something I've been focusing on a lot. And reminding me to take on some of those characteristics of the King of Pentacles, which in my case really resonated to just like doing the damn work instead of kind of floating around, which especially on your birthdays, maybe it seems like a bit of a weird message, but for me it was exactly what I needed to hear, and it was very timely. So thank you for that, and I am excited to see what message we get today. So let me back up a bit here. You can watch me. There we go. Shuffle. Welcome to my safe space, as I like to call it. Sacred space. I got some really great, I got a salt rock lamp and a few other really cool gifts for my birthday. So I look forward to further adorning this area. So I'm just going to give these guys a good mix and focus on my question. What does my higher self want me to know today? There's no rhyme or reason to this, guys. I don't know, it's different every time. I kind of always just like, no rhyme or reason. I just mix them. Whatever works, works. Okay, so I went to go shuffle and this card fell, so we're going to take it because my rule is that, or my thought is that I always shuffle until a card kind of flies out of the deck. This one flew out. So what is it? Da, 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 da. The Son of Swords. And I apologize, I need a manicure really badly, guys, don't judge. So there we have it, the Son of Swords. So again, we're using the Wild Unknown Tarot. This is my first tarot deck, and I love it. I love the imagery. So immediately looking at this card for today, Wednesday, August 21st, we can see that the lines are diagonal, which to me would symbolize movement. The swords are a area, they deal with like your mental faculties, so thoughts, logic, like very right brain activity. Left brain. Logical, very left brain activity, very logical, mathematic. And then the Son of Swords is like the equivalent of the Knight of Swords. So it's the second youngest of the court cards. We've been getting a lot of court cards and I'm still learning how to read them, to be honest. But generally speaking, this is I believe the Son of Swords would be kind of like almost like a teenager. So you can think of like teenager style energy as it comes to logic and math. So let's look at the write up, and then I will head to work, and I will come back a little bit later today with a full how it applied to my life. in my day. Okay, Son of Swords. Here's the write-up. Oh, sorry, rhythm. And I will read it to you. It says, forceful and determined are the key words. And it says, a dynamic creature, the Son of Swords is a man of action, not of grace. He pushes forward toward his goal with urgency and determination. To top it off, he's very well educated, making him a force to be reckoned with. Usually he's seeking approval from the patient and just Father of Swords, who casts quite a shadow onto his son. Working with this stimulating and exhausting young man can prove to be a challenge. So, I think what I am seeing here is a reminder, not unlike the Father of Pentacles yesterday, which reminded me that abundance will be mine, and that as long as I can harness all four elements and that I continue to stay focused, determined, self-discipline was a big thing yesterday with the Father of Pentacles. Today I'm seeing action again, lots of action-oriented cards this week. So to start off my 31st year, I feel like the universe is really saying, like, you know, I felt a little bit stagnant over the summer. We talked about that in my summer video, and not stagnant necessarily, but it was just a really energetically draining summer, and I allowed myself, instead of pushing through like I normally would and just forcing myself and further exhausting myself and putting myself into burnout and overexhaustion, I allowed myself, when I needed the time to rest, I wasn't too hard on myself when I wasn't uploading to the blog or anything, and I'm really thankful for that. But it feels like now that August is winding down, the summer activities are winding down, we're starting to get a lot of action cards that are like, okay, time to get off your laurels, time to get moving. Start messy is a feeling that I'm kind of coming through too, which I hear a lot from Angie Lee. If you guys are familiar with Angie Lee, she's phenomenal. Find her on Instagram. So I'm feeling, especially with the Son of Swords and the forceful, determined, and pushes forward towards his goal with urgency and determination. I'm feeling like that push to just get things started, get things moving. Like it's time to make a change. It's time to get moving. So that's what I'm feeling today. We do have a bit of a busy day at work, so I do feel like that's in alignment. If you are a tarot reader, please, if you have any other thoughts on what this card could mean, drop them in the comments below. If you're new to tarot and liking this and following this journey with me, this is a very new thing for me, so thank you for being here and for learning with me. And if you have a question that you would like me to do a spread on, this evening I am going to do a bonus spread, which will go on this same video, so you'll see it in a couple minutes after this one. I'm going to do a bonus spread, which will be, I would like to do a birthday. So I found a birthday spread that resonates with me. I just need a little bit more time to do it. So we're going to do that later today, this evening, because I have a little bit of free time. So that's really exciting, and then we'll get all these videos up. But if you have any specific questions that you would like me to ask and that you thought might be fun, things you'd like to know about me, questions you'd like me to consider, they can be relationship focused, career focused, whatever you want. I hope to one day get to the point much later in this journey of Tarot365. I would like to get to the point where I can start reading for other people, but I'm not there yet. So for now, it'll be questions that I can practice reading on myself that you think would be fun or interesting. I promise I'll record them and I'll tell you my honest thoughts. So a great way for us to get to know each other, and a great way for me to ask questions I wouldn't have thought of. So I think that's it for today. Thank you guys very much for being here, and I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Thanks so much for being here. Bye. Mwah. Let's talk about the Son of Swords. So we drew this earlier yesterday morning, so let's talk about it a little bit. This was card number 2 of the Tarot365 project. And so a few things that I did a little bit of research, and a few things that I noticed right off the hop. So I'm starting to get a bit of a handle on the court cards and kind of their personalities. So as a reminder, a court card, in this deck, they are called daughter, son, father, mother. And in most decks, they're going to be called king, queen, page, knight. So this is the equivalent of a knight card in your more standard decks. So according to this deck, they often refer to a specific person. And according to other decks, they most frequently correspond to personality traits, behaviors, ways of being that usually you're being invited to emanate those characteristics, or question, am I maybe being too far in the direction of this character, depending on what the card is. So with the Knight, it can be considered, it's the second lowest. So it goes Page, Knight, Mother, Father. Page, Knight, Queen, King, or Daughter, Son, Mother, Father. And so this can be considered kind of like the teenager in the family if you're going to age them and, like remove all gender, because like the gender is really more to deal with the type of energy than it is about actual gender dominance, obviously. So this can be a male or a female person that is just having very male dominated characteristics, which up until recently I tended to identify with pretty heavily. So I'm not at all surprised that that's what's kind of coming up for me. When we think of the Knight cards or the Sun cards, they typically are kind of like the teenager energy, as we mentioned, of the quote unquote family. And so teenager energy, everyone that has a teenager in their lives or that remembers being a teenager or knows a teenager know that they can be like very hot or cold and very like one way or the other way. So they are who they are, they're very determined, and they're very set in their ways in a lot of ways, but that can sometimes be a really positive thing or sometimes be a really negative thing, and it kind of just depends on the day. So what I thought was really interesting about this card is that in my research, because it's a Knight card, it kind of reflected that polarity and that duality where it's like the same personality characteristics that are sometimes very positive and they can relate to a lot of really good things, and then sometimes can be really negative, really harsh. So a really interesting way to discern it. As far as this actual card, the way that it looks, what you'll notice if you take, because nothing in this deck is by accident, so if you take a closer look at this card, you'll see that we have all of these diagonal lines, which really just draws your eye into the center. It kind of creates a little bit of movement in the card. But so you're really seeing, like, you're really focused on the owl, and he looks determined AF. Like, he is not going anywhere. He is not messing around. He's got his sword here too. Like, he is ready to strike. He's ready to go into battle, and he is not wavering. He's not thinking twice. He is just like on a mission. This guy's on a mission. You can see it in his eyes, right? Like, he's just singularly focused. And that was a pretty consistent theme that I found when I was doing some research on this card, is that more often than not, the characteristics and the personality profile that we're seeing with this card is somebody who has made up their mind, who will, almost knight in shining armor if you're looking at an old school or a more traditional deck, where they have like literally armor on, and they are in there, they are ready to debate, they are ready to fight, but they are singularly focused on their goal, and nothing, come hell or high water, is going to stop them. They are driven, they are ambitious, they are action oriented, they will stop at nothing to pursue their dreams and make sure that their manifestations actually turn into reality. They also have a tendency to act really quickly and to not plan ahead, which is really interesting because that is for sure my personality. Planning is not always my forte. It is a learned skill that I have developed for my career, but it is not, the concept of planning is not something that came to me naturally at all, to be honest with you. And so it is definitely a learned behavior. One thing that I think is interesting too, going from yesterday to today, is where we have two very action-oriented cards. However, they're action in different ways. Like the Father of Pentacles dealt with abundance, but it dealt with like calm assurance and being mature and like aware and having mastered all of the self-discipline required to get to his goals. And then this is like the younger version. I mean, it's swords, it's not pentacles, so we're dealing with mental and logic as opposed to the material realm. But it's interesting that we've gone down to like the teenager the next day, right? Where all of a sudden now it's like brute force, determination, sometimes can have a bit of a quick tongue and sometimes cause a little bit of pain that way. So what I'm thinking here as far as energy is concerned is like some questions you want to be asking yourself if this card is coming up for you, and that I have asked myself when this card came up and as I was reflecting on it today, is the Knight of Swords is reminding you to be assertive in what you want, to make sure that you're willing to frickin' work for it. So again, we're seeing that theme, be willing to work for what you want. same as yesterday. And to really harness this energy and get moving into proactive movement and maybe not get stalled out with planning. On the contrary to that though, because it can be like very one side or the other, it could also, if you're someone that over plans and is maybe feeling stagnant because you've been planning, it could be saying, hey, get off your laurels, stop planning and just get to work and start messy. On the alternate side, if you're someone that's always starting messy, it could be like a little bit of a reminder, hey, maybe you've gone a little too far this way. And I think that's where your intuition just really comes in. I think for me, it was definitely a start messy card. I haven't necessarily been over planning, but I have been sitting in stagnation for a little bit of a while, and which is why I just started messy with getting these messages out and starting on the Tarot365. I'll be honest, I did not sit down and plan it. I just, on August 19th, was like, that would be a cool idea. I would like an excuse to get to learn these cards a little bit better. And by August 20th, there was recording. I recorded something that night, literally. So this is not planned. I don't exactly know how it's going to turn out, but I do know that I needed to start and I needed to get back into the habit of recording. And I did really want to learn the tarot. So it kind of worked out. So I feel like me starting this project perfectly exemplifies the Son of Swords mentality, but I also think that maybe this is a reminder that it's probably time to step back and do a little bit of planning. And now that I've started messy and I've got a little momentum going, maybe it's time to figure out what I actually want out of this project and maybe do a little bit more detailed planning. So that is the Son of Swords for you today. Thank you guys so much for being here, and I look forward to revealing card number 3 for you tomorrow. Have a great night, everybody. Mwah. Bye.